Lance, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you for having us today. My name's Lance Loken with the Loken Group. We started the Loken Group in January of 2011. My wife, Karina, and I. Karina actually got into real estate in 2008 as an individual agent, got Rookie of the Year in 2009, and then was asked to be an interim team leader for a business here in Houston. And so she did that in 2010. I lost my job in the middle of 2010 when the economy was horrible, and had offers all over the United States. And Karina kept saying, why don't you get into real estate? And I was like, there's no way in the world I'm stooping down to that level. And then here we are. So we started in January of 2011. I wrote down our mission, vision, and value that first week of what we wanted to accomplish. And the goal was to be #1 in Houston by 2017, and laid out a roadmap on how to accomplish that. And then as we continued to add people, our goals have shifted from being so transactional based to be much more relationship based, especially the last several years. And we're really focused on client experience and having an exceptional experience throughout that. We started out with my wife and I in 2011, grew to 4 people by the end of the first year, grew to 8 people by the end of the second year, and then today we have 86 people on the team.
That's amazing.
So they're awesome. They are incredible.
That's awesome. And if I read correctly, in 2019, you guys were #1 residential real estate team in the United States.
Yes, ma'am.
That is incredible.
For one location, like we just have our team. We're not an expansion team other than we cover all 9 counties of Houston, but we're one location, one team.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, that is awesome.
And the sheer growth of the team itself, going from just the 2 of you to 84 people, that's, especially over such short amount of time, that's absolutely incredible. Now, when you say you wrote down your mission and vision and value in that first week, what was it when you wrote that down, if I might ask?
Sure, absolutely. So the mission statement, what funny part about that was I had my resume from corporate America, and you know how you write a little sentence at the beginning of your resume to get people's interest? We took that sentence and put it and made it our mission statement. And it was long, it was convoluted. It said the right things, at least from my perspective, but it didn't resonate with people. But for us, that was our mission statement. So it was focused on high performance, getting the job done. I mean, it was long, so we don't have that mission statement anymore. And then from a vision standpoint, we looked at who the #1 agent was in Keller Williams, and also who was #1 in Houston, and they were the one and the same. They were doing about 225 million in January of 2011. So looked at his numbers and said, okay, if we want to beat him, by 2017, let's work those numbers backwards. So looked at the first year, some high producers, and it looked like 8 million was a really good number. So we wrote down the number 8 for our first year, and then figured we'd double our business in the second year, and that would have been 16. We're like, okay, so let's just roll that up to 20. And then in the third year, we figured, hey, we'll triple our business. We've really got the business going, so let's write down 60. And then in the fourth year, we were going to hit that $100 million plateau. So let's do 100. And then each year after that, let's just go in $50 million increments, 150, 200, 250. So the goal was, and our vision statement at that time said, by 2017, we'll be #1 in Houston, doing $250 million in business.
What is your goal for 2021?
Well, back in 2014, we had to rewrite all those goals. So, because we had outdone ourselves on each of the goals. So our goal for 2021 is to do $700 million in business.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's incredible.
They do an amazing job, and it was funny because when we wrote down those vision numbers, The first 4 years, we beat every one of those numbers. And so we had to redo our vision from a numerical standpoint to increase our goals.
Just too good. You have to keep changing it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Now I don't
Actually, sorry, for 2021, this year, our goal is 838 million. Last year's goal was 700 million. I thought we were doing so 838 million, doing 3,100 transactions.
That's incredible. Why we have a question in the chat. What's the average price point in your area?
Last year it was 276. Due to everything that's going on right now, we've already escalated to 324.
Wow. I know in our current market listings, there's a struggle there. Are you guys going through the same thing in Houston?
Just a little bit. To put that into perspective, last year on today, we had 139 resale active listings. This morning we have 42. So
what different tactics are you and your team using?
So we've shifted our focus, and we've been shifting it for the last couple of months. We're focused on getting as many buyer leads as we possibly can and treating them as sellers. So basically the exact opposite, because most buyers have a house to sell. So let's make our listings as attractive as possible and get as many buyers into our arena as we possibly can, and they'll hopefully turn out to be sellers. We've also changed up our radio advertising that says if you need to find a house first and then sell it, we'll help you buy that house up front, and then we'll get your house sold. And so we have a program in place that enables people to go buy a home, vacate their current property, move into the new home, and then we'll sell their old property. It's pretty much the exact opposite of what we were doing before, because we used to guarantee that we'll get your home sold or we'll buy it. So now we're doing the exact opposite. And Homeward is the program that we use. Tim Heil, who's a KW, he's got a KW team. He runs a company called Homeward, and they offer that product.
That's very interesting to shift like that and use that different mindset when tackling this issue.
Yep, it's working out great.
And I'm glad to hear it. So moving forward, now I know you had mentioned you're doing radio advertising.
Mm-hmm.
What other types of advertising are you using?
So we do a lot of Google and social media marketing. So we're on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and we do a lot of Google. Starting last September, we really got focused on Google local services, which means in your market, depending on your city, if you type in Houston Realtor, the Loken Group's going to show up first, and they don't even show up in the lines, where most people do. It's up at the very top where it's sponsored with Google, and we're screened as well. So we had to go through a screening process to be put into that category. So literally with us covering 9 counties, we made sure that we went in and are the #1 team that comes up in every single city around Houston. So obviously there's a lot of cities in Houston. You type in any city and realtor, and the Loken Group shows up first. So we do a lot of that. We do a lot of Facebook marketing, both with command and without command. And we do a lot of Instagram posting and everything. Yes, the Homeward program is a bridge loan. Yes. So what happens is you get fully approved by Homeward up front, and then the only condition that's a kind of a challenge is you got to make sure that your home appraises. And the best part is, with the economy the way that it is right now, and with prices going up, you should have hardly any appraisal issues whatsoever. So what they do is they pre-approve you. You go and place an offer on a home. You can even do a cash offer, like as if a cash offer, close in 12 days with that property, and then move into that property and then go back and sell your other one.
That's really interesting. Now, I know we talked about the listings being, obviously a very big challenge for everyone. What's the biggest challenge that you faced all throughout your career?
Well, my biggest mistake was uh, in 2011, we were at Mega Camp and Ben Kinney was up on stage talking about this amazing home race. And he had just done it in Bellingham, Washington. It was like this really cool concept whereby you take all of your listings and hold an open house in every one of those listings for a 3-hour period of time, like on a Saturday. And so he had there in Bellingham, Washington, there's 80,000 people. He had 800 people attend that event. So here I am, first year of business, and thinking, okay, we're in Houston. There's 6.5 million people here. We could have 5,000 people attend this event. How cool would this be? We just need a whole bunch of listings. So I literally, while Ben was still up on stage, I went outside and contacted the company because one of the caveats is that you could only have one person in each city participate in this event. So of course we wanted Houston. So I called the thing. It cost $70,000 with all the marketing and with the grand prize and everything else. And oh, by the way, when we started TLG, we were $250,000 in debt. So $70,000, we did not have that kind of money. And we were like, well, we'll just figure out how we're going to accomplish this as we go. So went back, got the agreement signed, went and did all this. March was the big event in 2012. And the morning of the event, it was foggier than I've ever seen. Couldn't see a foot in front of us. And we had also reserved one of the largest convention centers in Houston that held 15,000 people. So the parking lot was plenty big enough for everybody to get there because, we were going to have 5,000 people. 180 people showed up for the event. And the only lead that we got out of that entire day was the people that that won the $10,000 cash prize. They used that $10,000 to purchase a home, which was one of the caveats. So that was really cool. And we did it for 0% commission. So it was a lose all the way around. And then fast forward to April 12th of 2012, we get a letter in the mail saying that our house was being foreclosed on. And what had happened was we stopped paying our mortgage so that we could pay for this opportunity, this big event, and got the foreclosure notice in the mail, April 12th. May 1st, if you go back and look, is the first Tuesday of the month, and that's when our house was going to be auctioned off. Fortunately, we were able to find an attorney that stepped in. We did a loan modification that took about 1.5 years to take place. And fast forward to today, we're completely debt free. So that was one of the biggest hardships, that especially in those first and second years, because we didn't have money to play around with. I'll never forget, my wife was at a grocery store one day with the kids and she had gotten some stuff, and I called her up and said, "Where are you?" And she said, "Here I am at the grocery store getting." And I said, "You're going to have to put it back away. Our bank account's negative again." And so she had to leave the grocery cart there. And that happened quite a few times those first couple of years in business because I was thinking too far ahead instead of worrying about today, because I knew that the benefits would come, but they didn't come fast enough, especially in those beginnings. So we were living paycheck to paycheck, literally day to day, those first couple of years.
How did you turn that around from being, in debt with negative bank account balances and having that hardship to where you are now? Like, was there like a switch that went off? Like, okay, we have to do this way. This is how we're going to be successful. Or was it just an overtime building of clientele and everything?
It was over time building everything to get to where we knew we were going to be successful. And like my wife hated me, especially those first couple of years, because here I am saying we're go, go, go. And she's like, "We don't have any money to do this." And I'm like, "Just trust me, we're going to get there." And it was a real struggle. I mean, I wouldn't put anybody else through that ever again, what we did, but I also believed in what we were going to accomplish. And I think that determination and grit to get there is what carried us through. But it was definitely a rough couple of years.
Do you have any advice for people that are newer to real estate that are going through something similar to where, they're first starting out and they're hitting all these roadblocks? Like any advice to them to keep going?
Yeah, to make sure you're doing your activities every single day. Make sure that you stay in 100% belief in yourself that you're doing the right activities. And 3, keep after it. And one thing that we didn't do, especially in the beginning, is lead with revenue. So don't bite off more than you chew. You can pick up the phone, and that doesn't cost any money. And doing those activities for 2 to 3 hours every single morning, my wife loved doing that, and she's fantastic at doing that. That was what saved us, because her being on that phone every single day, lead generating and getting us business, that's what made it happen. Because I hate being on the phone. I hate talking to people. I like to sit in my office. Here I am, doors closed. I'm a very happy person to get to work with numbers and stuff. She was fantastic at doing that lead generation piece of it.
Now, I have to circle back to something you said in the beginning of the call. I know that she was in real estate before you, and you said, I'm not going to stoop down to that level and get into real estate. What were your thoughts about real estate that made you say that or think that?
Yep, I thought real estate people were used car salesmen. Like, at the end of the day, I associated a real estate person with used car. And then when we decided to do real estate together, our mission has been from that point forward is to, at some point, someday, people talk about attorneys, doctors, and real estate agents from a professional standpoint, all in one sentence. And that's why we do what we do. And that's why we share what we share, because at some point in time, we'd love for somebody to realize that real estate agents are up at that level instead of what I thought they were from a perception standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. I have like a little list of questions.
Oh, go for it. We have a resource. I just put it in there. If
Okay.
there's any, we have listing presentations, buyer presentations, our scripts, our first 100 days training program, pretty much anything you need to start and grow your business. You could go to tlgshares.com and see it's for the Loken Group. What had happened, especially in the first couple of years, people were starting to ask us, so how do you do this or how do you do that? And we were more than happy to help, but we kept sending the same stuff out over time after time. Finally, we just created one source where everybody could come and get whatever they wanted instead of us distributing. So that's where the TLG shares came from.
That's awesome. We did have another question in the chat. What's your strategy with multiple offers?
So we absolutely, the buyer agents contact the listing agents and ask the listing agents, what will it take for our offer to win out? Because it's not always price. It could be they want a lease back for a couple of weeks or a month or two. It may be that they don't want to handle repairs. It may be that they don't want to have any showings. Whatever the case may be, you can work around it. But if you don't ask, you're not going to know. So that's the first thing that we do. The other thing is we've always sent a letter along with a photo of the buyers and tell a story of why the seller should choose them. We've even gotten to the point now that we're starting to send videos, a short little video. Hey, this is Lance Loken. I love your home. I think it'll be the next great place to raise my family. Here's, A, B, and C and their ages. We'd love to be chosen to purchase your home if you see it fit. And that personalization of the video goes a long ways. Those are the key things. Price isn't always going to be the winning factor. And if you don't ask, you're not going to know. And yes, we have homes that we're getting 40, 50, 60 offers on in a day.
That's crazy.
That is so out of the box. I love that. I really do.
Thank you. Yeah, Jen Davis actually mentioned that one time. She's in Missouri, and we thought that was a great idea because it just takes that personal touch up a notch. You know how we love to go onto YouTube and go onto TikTok and watch all these videos. Why not do the exact same thing to tear at somebody's hearts?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
Um,
good.
Now you do have a very large team. How do you leverage from a co-owner's point of view? Like, do you have specific agents for specific tasks?
Yes. So from day one, when we started the Loken Group, we were going to start it as a business and operate departmentally. So we have listing agents operating as a single department. We have buyer agents operating, inside sales, marketing, operations, and our success team and our new construction, um, and our luxury division. So they all have their own departments. And then we have an executive vice president in each of those departments that becomes our executive team. So Karina, myself, and then our executive team all get together on a weekly basis. Um, we hold our exec team accountable on a weekly basis, and then they in turn hold all of their departments accountable every week. So that's how we structured as an organizational chart. And then we have success coaches that help out with those exec teams depending on the size of their department. So our inside sales agents, we have 14 of them. And so we have success coaches that report to the vice president, and they hold people accountable, and then the VP holds them accountable. So it's all succession planning and run just like a corporate office.
That's smart. That's really smart. Especially with so
And
many people. I feel like I'd get confused. You know what I
uh,
mean?
and
So,
you're building leaders within leaders.
mhm, for sure. Do you guys utilize MAPS coaching at all?
Yep. Our entire exec team has a MAPS coach as well as myself. And then we have two other groups coaching. So um, us as an organization pay for 12 MAPS coaching contracts a month.
No, I hear amazing things about the program.
Mhm.
Um, Now I'm curious, do you and your wife at the point that you're at, do you guys still go out and, hit the pavement, sell homes and everything, or are you more behind the scenes?
So I try my best to be behind the scenes. We had just a little hiccup in the last couple of weeks. We had to replace 3 listing agents. So for the next couple of months here, I'm going to be a listing agent full time as well as um, helping to serve the organization full time. So yes, I'm in full production right this second.
That's awesome. Busy, busy man. Does anybody have any questions for Lance? I just want to stop for that for a minute.
We're an open book, so you can ask anything you want to know.
Right, you got a question?
I do, yeah. Just curious, I know you replaced the listing agents. What is your, I guess, best source or strongest source to get the listings?
You mean from a lead generation standpoint?
Yes.
Oh, so radio and television is number one. Our data bank is number two. So that our data bank includes our Sphere, Forever clients. And hopefully you hear me say a couple of things here. We don't call it database. We call it data bank because that's where the money comes in. And we call them forever clients. We don't call them past clients because we feel like we worked so hard to get that client in the first place. Why do we ever want them to be a past client? We want them to be our client for life. So forever clients, and then new construction is number 3. Those are our major lead sources.
Do you guys deal with a lot of new construction?
Yeah, half of our business is new construction.
Wow.
Mhm. And
Are
it's
there any, is there anything, any large challenges that differ between new construction and residential?
well,
The
the
existing
biggest
home?
challenge, at least on the list side, is you don't get paid very much. So we list a lot of homes for new construction and we only get paid a flat fee. And we do it with intention. We list first time buyer listings because once we get the contact information, hopefully 5 to 7 years down the road, when we've been dripping them this whole time, that we'll get them to be listing with us the next time around. And when we list their properties, we always get all the buyer leads. So that's the purpose behind us doing as much new construction as possible.
Absolutely.
Plus, it gives us a massive amount of exposure. If you
Yeah.
go anywhere in Houston, and you're going to see the Loken Group sign.
What tactics do you guys use to take care of your data bank and stay top of mind with them?
Sure. Our inside sales agents call them on a quarterly basis. We do 2 major events a year, at least we did before the pandemic. We do a springtime event, which we shut down the entire Houston Zoo at 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon. And all of our forever clients get to go to the zoo with their families. And it's just TLG people. So that's a really cool event. And we have petting zoos during that time. They get to go behind the scenes. It's a real exclusive, massive event. And then in the fall, we do the Pie Day, where we give away a free pie to all of our clients. We have them come to 5 different locations, including the corporate office. Because Houston's so massive, we divided Houston into 5 regions, and we have a home in each of those regions, which is one of our agents' homes, and people go to those homes and pick up their pie wherever it is. So those are the 2 biggest events. And then we have drip campaigns throughout the year. So we're real intentional about the 36 point plan that Leslie Peters and Andy Peters talk about a lot, as well as Tony DeCello talked about it and Diana Kokosa did.
What are you doing now with the way of the world if you can't have, everybody hanging out at the zoo?
So we're doing as many virtual events as we possibly can. We have at least 1 virtual event every month, and that's what's been happening. They're not very well attended, and it gives us a point of it gives us a reason to contact our clients. So even though they may not be well attended, we're still getting to talk to them and interact with them. So from a relationship standpoint, we're doing that. And what was really cool is, just an example, the snow apocalypse happened a couple of weeks ago. I was on the phone with Tony DeCello, and we were brainstorming what could we do. And we came up with the idea of, why don't we go and get plumbers from outside the state that haven't been impacted and have them come and help our people out, just like we did when Hurricane Harvey hit in 2017. So the snowstorm hit, power started coming back on by that Thursday and Friday. By Saturday, we had plumbers here from Louisiana that were fixing homes. And in a week and a half, we helped 67 families. So that gave us a point of a reason to call. So we're calling all of our clients and saying, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything that we can do for you? Do you have any pipes that have burst? We actually have plumbers at our disposal. Do you need anything? Oh my gosh, seriously? We called our plumber, and they're talking 4 to 6 weeks before they can come out. Oh, well, we'll have our plumber out there this afternoon or at the latest tomorrow. What do you need? Like, what a value add that we were able to give to our clients, and to do 67 homes in that short period of time. It was just awesome. So that we focus on those types of things. What can we do to help our clients? What can we do to serve our clients, instead of how do we get business from them?
I definitely like looking at it more from a relationship point of view than a business point of view, because at the end of the day, it is a business, but
Yep.
people are going to do business with people they like.
Yep. I just finished reading a book by Jeff Henderson, and the book's name is Know What You're Known For. And really, the book says for, F-O-R, but then the tagline there is Know What You're Known For. He used to be an executive with Chick-fil-A, and then he started a church in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's now the world's largest church. And one of the key things that I took away from it is, instead of marketing yourself to tell everybody how great you are, or to tell everybody why they should work with you, focus on them and what you can do for them. And one of the key moments was, this church, before they ever built this church, there's Gwinnett County in Georgia. They did an event, and it said hashtag for Gwinnett. Nobody had any idea what it was for, but the chatter started happening, and they opened up a amphitheater there and got a whole bunch of people to attend because it was for Gwinnett. And he took that, and the name of the church is Gwinnett Church. And because everything was focused on how we could help the community, how we could help our clients, they came back in droves. And so we've been implementing the exact same practices.
That's awesome. What is one thing you wish you knew when you first started?
how tough it was going to be to do this business at a high level. I think that's it. I knew it was going to be tough. I didn't realize it was going to be as tough as it was. Um, you can do a daily job and get production. There's lots of real estate agents, single real estate agents that do a great job. We wanted to build a business, and we wanted to build it at a massive level. And once we started hiring people, it wasn't our goals anymore. It was their goals, and it really shifted us from our focus on what we wanted to accomplish, and it shifted on what they wanted to accomplish. So every day I get up and focus on what can I do to help our team achieve everything that they want to achieve.
If you could give yourself when you first started out a piece of advice, what would it be?
Well, my wife would say that she wishes I would have been relationship based from day one, because that's what she loves to be. I'm very business minded, and I come from a retail background. So I'm like, let's go get it done. So it took several years for us to shift from being so transactional based to being relationship based.
Now, when it was just the two of you, were you more the paperwork end and she was more the people person?
No, she got on the phone and set up all the appointments, and then I would go out on the appointments and get the deals closed. And
That's
then
awesome.
by April that first year, we hired an admin person because we both suck at paperwork. We got through it, but we both sucked at it. And because we didn't have any money, we turned to our babysitter who was in college and said, "Hey, you want a part-time job? We'll pay you $10 an hour for 10 hours a week if you'll do the paperwork." And she's a high C personality, so it worked out great. And that was our first hire. And then in July, we hired our first buyer agent. So those were the 4 people at the end of the first year.
That's awesome. Is the babysitter still around?
She's still around. She doesn't work here, but the buyer agent that we hired in July, she's still here. She's now our director of HR and talent acquisition. We have a director of talent acquisition that's a full-time recruiter here, and then she partners with him.
That's awesome. How does your recruitment work? Like, do you just look for up and coming agents in the area? Do you take on brand new agents?
So go back to my mind perception back in day one. I don't like real estate agents, and I don't like to talk to real estate agents. At least that's how I was back then. So I wanted to talk to like people that I was used to talking with, business strategy, things like that. So we started going after people that were outside the industry. And that's literally how we've built this whole business. I think we have a total of 2 people that have real estate experience in our organization. Everybody else comes from corporate America. So that's who we go after. We post on Indeed. We post on job boards, everywhere else. Now we're starting to get a few more people that have real estate experience that have joined us or that have wanted to join us. But for the most part, we hire people outside of the industry.
What does the training look like for them?
We have a 100-day training program that's pretty intensive. It initially starts out day by day, and then it goes week by week, depending on what role they're going to play. Everybody starts out as an inside sales agent and gets trained in that realm, and then they'll transition to a buyer agent or a listing agent. We feel like the ISA position is the most important position in our company. So we don't say that they move up to a listing agent or move up to a buyer agent, because we all feel like they're on the same level playing field. And so we call that transitioning. But we have a pretty intensive training program, and most of that's in the TLG shares as well.
Now, is it very structured? Like, you don't have people that are cross-trained, or do you have buyers agents that are sometimes listing agents?
So in the past, we've done everything. Buyer agents work with buyers, listing agents work with listings, because we wanted to make sure that they got to focus on what they're doing. And our listing agents, for the most part, are high D personalities, and our buyer agents, for the most part, are high I personalities. And so we tried to keep them separate. We're starting to test pilot having some buyer agents work a couple of listings. on sphere deals or dual transaction deals. We're trying to see how that works out, but with the number of clients that our listing agents have, they have no interest in working with buyers, and most of our buyer agents don't have any interest in working on the seller side. So, but we're testing it out and seeing what happens.
That's awesome. Does anybody on the call have any questions for Lance?
I just wanted to say, I love the idea of putting a personal letter with the offer from the family. And as you were speaking, I went ahead and did it. 'Cause I'm sending an offer over today, and they've lost 5 homes, and it's really getting discouraging to them. So I loved that. That was fantastic.
Make sure you take a photo of them as well.
Right.
Include that. And if they're willing, have them do a little 30-second video of what
love it.
this home would mean to them.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Any other comments or questions?
You guys are easy, man.
I know, right? I think everybody knows it's almost 2 o'clock on a Friday, so they're like, done.
Understood.
I have a question. What is a typical day for an agent in your market, like an agent on your team?
Sure. So
Because I think I have a lot of new agents coming in.
Yep.
And I think they that's where they are. Like, they don't know what to do when they first come in and what their day should be like and what they should time block to do.
So let's do both sides, because we'll do as a single agent versus our team, because it's completely different. As a single agent, non-negotiable is lead generating from 8 to 11 every single morning. Take a lunch break, and then from 12 o'clock until 8 o'clock at night, you should be out on appointments or following up, doing repairs, repair amendments, any negotiating of contracts and things like that. And you should be doing that 6 days a week, especially in the beginning. Make sure you take one day off as best as you possibly can. For the first 5 years, I didn't take a day off, but you need to refresh yourself as well. That's typically what I've seen a good a good individual agent accomplish. For our organization, we have very specific responsibilities. So all the lead generation is being done by our inside sales team, and they're operating from 7 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. And then our listing agents, depending on what day of the week, they may be going on appointments. We have a dispatcher on our team that actually dispatches the appointments at scheduled times. So if you're a listing agent on our team, Monday through Friday, you could have an appointment at 10:30 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, 3:30 or 6 p.m. And on Saturday and Sunday, you could have an appointment at 9, 11, 1, and 3. So another thing is, on our team, listing agents can either have up on Saturday or Sunday. And so they pick, and then the other listing agents offset the other side. So usually you're going on appointments 3 days a week, and the rest of the time you're answering phone calls, negotiating, everything else. On the buy side, the dispatcher also sets up the buyer initial consultations. The dispatcher does that. And then you're scheduling homes in the afternoon and evenings and on the weekends, and you're negotiating contracts and things like that. Typically, a buyer agent works more afternoons and evenings and weekends, and the listing agents work a lot of days and weekends. So, and then our inside sales agents are working 8 to 5, and then we have virtual partners that are working from 5 p.m. to midnight and answering phone calls and things like that.
Oh my God, it's such a well-oiled machine.
Right?
Oh my goodness. Now, how long did it take for you to get it that structured and that well moving? Because it sounds like it's well moving. Like I'm sure there's hiccups every now and again somewhere, but how long did it take you to get it that well moving? Because I swear it sounds like just bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, it's chaos every year, full transparency. And as we grew and added people, we try to find more and more efficient ways to do things. And that's been our mentality every single year. What can we do differently to become more efficient? And now our focus is what can we do efficiently to be more exceptional for our clients or to create that exceptional experience. If you look at our planning advance that's in TLG shares, our focus for the year was be exceptional. And so I don't know if you see it, but this was our planning advance for 2021 and focused on what we can do to provide that exceptional experience for our client. So behind the scenes, there's lots of chaos going. In fact, last week we started a whole new software program and people are really struggling to work in that new platform and we have to make it work. So it's going to be chaotic for the next 90 days until everybody's fully bought in, and then we'll keep going on to next. We've had, for instance, that dispatcher, we've had a dispatcher in place for 3 years now. And the whole concept behind dispatching was coming from corporate days in the retail world. You had to dispatch people out to different sectors, and it's worked out really, really well with us. Because in Houston, you can go to an appointment that's an hour and a half away, and then you can go. I'll never forget this day. I was up in Northwest Houston, and went to an appointment in Southeast Houston. Took me an hour and 15 minutes to get there, and then literally my next appointment was across the street from that morning appointment. And if we would have had dispatching in place, if we would have, thought about everything beforehand, we would have been able to, get rid of that. But that dispatcher came in soon after that. And now everybody may go to a specific area of town, but then they spend that entire day in that area going on appointments.
That's awesome.
I just got tired listening to that. my brain is just, my mind is blown. I just have to say that.
The people here are absolutely incredible. They are amazing. And what I love more than anything else about them, they're always forward thinking, and we're adapting and changing on a regular basis. Like, who would have known that the snowstorm would have happened a couple of weeks ago, and everybody we made sure that our people were taken care of first, and then we stepped into action to see who we could help.
That's amazing. That's just amazing. I have to tell you, you are goals. Definitely goals.
I have a question.
Yes.
Hi, I am a new agent, and my question to you is, how do you disseminate whether or not you're going to be a listing agent or a buyer agent?
Well, especially in the beginning, you got to do both, don't you? Like to start everything. So literally, I would go on buyer appointments and listing appointments. I didn't care. A transaction was a transaction. I didn't enjoy the buy side of the business because I don't enjoy people, but I had to do what I had to do to get to the means to the end. Personalities usually work much better with one side or the other. And until you're able to leverage off that piece of your business, then you should do both. And whatever you love to do the most, you should leverage off less. So I love working on the listing side of the business. So I did that until the 5th year of the business. And then once we had a couple of listing agents, I was able to step away from that. But focus on what you love to do, because that's going to get you motivated every day, isn't it? Not doing what you have to do what you want to do and what you're really good at doing, and then leverage off all the other pieces until you're at a point where you can go, okay, now I have enough of business that I can leverage off something that I do love to do.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions? Okay. I think that may be it for this afternoon. It's been a pleasure, though, talking to you. I'm glad we got a chance to pick your brain and hear what a well-oiled machine of a team sounds like. But if there's anything that you ever need from us, we are here in New Jersey. And yeah, it's been great.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.